Welcome back to this week's edition of Don't Forget to Bless the Food. I'm your host, Amy. I feel like I've been going forever, but we have a whole lot of fun tonight. We're going to make some different kinds of pizzas. This isn't your pizzeria pizza. We're going to make some buffalo chicken wing pizza, some cheesesteak pizza, a couple others, and we're going to make some dessert pizza. And that's the first thing I'm going to get started with. So right here on my pizza tray, I have a 9-inch pie crust. And I've poked some holes in it, and we're going to pop this in the oven for about 8 minutes, so it'll be nice and ready for when we want to set up our dessert. So I'm going to go ahead and toss that in the oven. Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm going to come down here to our trusty but not so rusty grill, and we're going to start making our hot wing pizza. I have 3 chicken breasts, boneless, skinless, thin chicken breasts, trimmed of the fat, and I'm going to throw it into a hot griddle. And this is going to be our hot wing pizza. We'll give it a little toss. Now this particular pizza isn't going to have any tomato sauce on it. It's going to have a hot wing sauce on it. And then the cheese that we're going to top it with is going to be actual blue cheese. So it'll be just like having hot wings, but instead of being just on a plate, it's going to be on a pizza dough. Okay. And while this is cooking, I'm going to go down to my Cuisinart and I'm going to start making some pesto for a white pizza that we're going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my pizza crust with me. This particular pizza crust is, it's just store-bought. We really don't have time to make a homemade pizza crust, but this is just as good. And this one is whole wheat, so it's a little more better for the heart, I guess you would say. Okay, so what I'm going to do for our white pizza is I'm going to take about 1.5 cups of fresh basil, straight out of my garden. You all know how I love herbs right out of the garden. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cloves of fresh garlic. And we're going to hope this works because last time it didn't. Turn it on. Okay. Now while it's processing, I'm going to add olive oil to it. And what I'm making is a pesto. And this pesto is going to get drizzled on top of our white pizza. Okay, and this looks really good already. To that pesto, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of oregano. And this is a loose pesto because it's going to drizzle on top. Usually pesto is a little thick, like a paste. But I'm going to use this as a drizzle, so we want it to be a little looser. And I'm just going to give it a quick little stir to make sure it's exactly how I want it, and it is. Okay, so I'm going to just remove that so I can get to everything. So for our white pizza, we're going to use ricotta cheese. Don't think I'm crazy, but this is a whole cup of garlic with the oil. And we're just going to pour it right on here. Yum-o. And I'm going to spread this out. And it smells so yummy. Okay, now I'm going to let that oil soak into my pie crust a little bit, and I'm going to pop down here and give my chicken a little stir. Okay, I'm going to just turn it down a little bit, and I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to come back down here to our white pizza. I have here a high-grade ricotta cheese. I didn't drain it. I let it set out for a while to get nice and soft. And to my ricotta, I'm just going to add a couple pinches of oregano. Give it a little stir. And this is going to be our base on this pizza. Well, actually, it's going to represent more of what the mozzarella would be. Let's just pour. Let's set this aside. side, and we're just going to smooth it out. And again, this is not going to have any tomato sauce on it either, and that's hence the word white pizza. Let's get this nice and smooth. This is really simple to make. I love this pizza. I love garlic, so if you're a garlic lover, this is definitely your pizza. Okay, so now I'm going to bring over this yummy pesto. We're going to just drizzle this all over the top. If I go ahead and pour this, I know it's going to just all pour out in one spot, so I'll just take my time and get it where I want it to be. Smooth this out really nicely. And this is a really pretty pizza. This is actually a really good summer pizza because you can serve this cold and it'll be just as good as if it were hot. Okay, and finally, on our white pizza, I'm just going to add some sea salt. A little fresh pepper. And I'm going to top it with our trusty mozzarella cheese. And if you can see, I have a variety of cheeses here today because we're going to use a lot of cheese. Make it pretty. You don't want a lot of mozzarella because you have that whole layer of cheese underneath. And then I'm just going to give it a sprinkle of parsley on top just to brighten it up a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this one in the oven. This is going to go into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Maybe not that long depending on how your oven works, which this oven cooks pretty quickly, so it probably won't be that long for this particular oven. So I'm going to come down here and check on our chicken. Okay, now the chicken is all done. So the next thing I'm going to do is add our wing sauce. We're making this just like we make hot wings at home. We're just not making it with a bone-in chicken. And I'm going to be really generous because your hot sauce is your sauce on your pizza. This is what your moisture is. I'm going to set this one aside. Give it a nice good stir. If your pieces of chicken are too big, just give them a little slice up because you don't want a giant piece of pizza or piece of chicken on your pizza. And we just wanted to combine all this together, and this is going to heat up in the oven, so we don't really have to cook it too long on here. Okay. So now I'm going to grab my second pizza shell, and we're going to put this one together. This out of the way. You're going to need a nice big spoon, which this one's going to have to do for me. Turn that off. And this is going to probably be a little bit messy, but that's okay. My cleanup crew is here. Get it all on here good. This is a really nice grill. However, it's not good for picking up and dumping on, and I really wish that it was. Scoop this all on here. I'm going to grab a spatula. Get our chicken on first, and then we'll get all that sauce on. This is a hearty pizza. You know, when you eat cheese and pepperoni pizza, you could probably eat 3 or 4 pieces. There's a lot of chicken on here, so, well, I wouldn't eat as much of this pizza as I would regular pizza. And if you want to reserve some hot sauce on the side for dipping, you can do that too. Oops, we don't want anything to get away. but this is a really yummy pizza. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the spoon to get this sauce on here. Oops. I think we're good with this one. Of course, I hate to waste anything, so I'm going to try to get as much of this on there. Make sure you have something cool to drink or a different bread on the side with this, because this is going to light you up a little bit. Fire. Okay, so now that this is all together with the chicken, I just want to lightly dust it with the mozzarella. Not like you would do a normal or a regular pizza. I just want a light dusting of this just to give it that stringy gooiness of a pizza so that we can actually call it pizza. And then on top of that, we're going to go with some really good blue cheese. I chose an Amish blue cheese. I like theirs because it's a little bit more natural. It doesn't have any preservatives, so it won't last as long in the fridge, but it's fresher and yummier. And be generous. I'll probably use this whole thing. So this isn't a thrifty kind of pizza. This is more gourmet pizza. You just get in there with your hands. Okay, so this pizza is ready to go in the oven, and it's going to cook for the exact same amount of time on the same temperature as the other pizza. Every one of our pizzas are going to cook at the same temperature. So we're going to pop this one in the oven. We're going to go over to here. And before I put that in, I'm just going to go ahead and check on our crust that we put in earlier. See if it's ready to come out. It's not, but I'm going to switch which level it's on. And we'll put this one on top. Clean up a little bit. Okay, so with those two pizzas in the oven, I'm going to take a little commercial break so we can clean up our grill. When we come back, we're going to do our cheesesteak pizza. So we'll be back in a couple minutes with a fresh, clean working space.
My name is Dexter Brink, and you're watching CTF TV Live.
Okay, so we're all cleaned up. I've got my grill cleaned, and now we're going to start our ingredients for our cheesesteak pizza. Now, you know me, I can't just say cheesesteak pizza. I got to say Philly cheesesteak pizza. So, I have an onion here. I partially chopped up, but I just wanted to show that I want, or you'll want, or will want, nice long pieces of onion. Not all choppy. And we're going to go ahead and toss these in and get these going. And then we're going to go to our strip steak. Okay. That's one whole white onion. And you want a white onion for a cheesesteak. I'll break this up and get it going. I'll pop in a little olive oil in there to give it a little help and a little extra flavor. And you all know what my little bit of olive oil is. Probably, this is a half a cup. Cooking just like at home, throwing everything all over the kitchen, hoping somebody else is going to come and clean it up. At home, nobody comes and cleans it up, but here, I got lots of folks to come and clean it up. That's the deal. Okay, so what I'm going to use for my cheesesteak pizza is strip steak, tip steak. You know, it's really thin. You can use like the frozen stuff if you want to, but you all know I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use something a little better than frozen steak. And if you can see, it should have a little marbling in it. It should have a little fat. And we're going to chop this up and saute it. I was debating on what cheese I was going to use for my cheesesteak, but my Aunt Debbie comes every week. Now in Philly, the original cheesesteak was made with Whiz, but Aunt Debbie says that's not a cheesesteak. Whiz is not a cheesesteak. So we're going to be using some good. It's actually really good American cheese, so as to not offend Aunt Debbie. Okay, so we're just going to chop this all up in nice strips. I can hear her over there whispering. Okay. And like I said, this isn't your pizza parlor steak. Okay, we're gonna break this all up shreddy like a cheesesteak would be. And this is gonna cook really fast, so we wanna make sure our onions are good and cooked. Okay, so before we add our steak in here, I'm going to throw in some mushrooms. Any kind of mushrooms you like. You get them in the jar. You can buy fresh ones. Just little button mushrooms. And we're going to throw a handful of those in there. If a black olive sneaks in, don't worry about it. He won't eat much. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add our tip steak, strip steak, whatever you want to call it. Set this aside and give it a little stir. Take 2 utensils and try to keep it broken apart, because as it cooks, it will stick together, and we really want to get this all across our pizza, so we don't want big lumps of steak, so try to keep it separated. Okay, so while this is cooking, I'm going to wipe my hands off and I'm going to grab that pie crust shell out of the oven, and we're going to start making our dessert pizza. Grab something to grab it with. And this looks really good. And if you can peek and see, those pizzas are coming out really nicely in there. Okay, so what I did was just slid it onto a hard board because we don't want it to stay on the hot pan because it'll stay hot. We don't want it to do that. Okay, now for this pizza, we have some cream cheese. This is 1 package of cream cheese. Now, the recipe called for this to have a 1/4 cup of sugar added to it. I don't really like to sugar things up when I'm using fruit because I think fruit is sweet enough. So I'm not going to do that. But I have this really nice strawberry jam that I've been saving up to use for something. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons. I just heard Kathy cringe because she does not like strawberry. And this is going to be our sauce. This is what we're going to spread onto the pizza. And it's going to be our base, like our sauce. Kind of feel like I should be speaking in an Italian accent when you're making pizza, but I think mine would be really bad, so I'll refrain. I'm going to just check on our steak over here. Let's turn it down a little bit. It looks good. Now keep in mind when you're making these, everything doesn't have to be cooked all the way through because you're going to pop it in the oven. And you're going to cook it for an additional few minutes. But this is just a little too red. And again, make sure you pull it apart. And I wanted to mention, for everybody at home who's watching, if you try these recipes, please go onto our website and send us an email. Let us know how you enjoyed them. I really like getting the feedback. Of course, my family just says, well, just can you come over and make it for me? Of course, I did that to my mom, too. Okay, so we're going to start spreading our sauce on our pizza. It's funny that when we got here today, I was so depressed. I really was. And Pastor Eric prayed for me. This is like my therapy right here. This is it. I am happy as I could be right now. Just get me in the kitchen with something hot to cook in. Give me some ingredients and she's happy again. Okay, so we're going to spread this out. I just go on and on, don't I? This looks yummy. Okay, so that's our cream cheese on our pie shell. Okay, I'm going to let this melt for a minute. I'm going to go back over here to my cheesesteak pizza. I told you were going to get busy. These were going to get dizzy today, and I think I'm making myself a little busy. Okay. So what we have here are some really good American cheese ends. If you go to your deli, ask them for the best American cheese that they carry, and tell them you want the ends of it. And that's what we're going to put on our cheesesteak. Now we're not going to add it in here because we want it to melt in the oven. We don't want it to melt in our grill. So we're going to turn this off. I'm going to grab a slotted spoon here and start piling our steak on, which looks yummy. Now if I were home, I would smear mayonnaise and ketchup all over this because that's what I like on my cheesesteak. But since I have company, I'm going to be nice and let them smear their own whatever they want on it. Kathy would probably drizzle it with gravy. Okay. Let's just pile it all up. You're going to have to use your hands or try to be kitchen proper and not use your hands. I don't know a cook who doesn't use their hands. This looks yummy. Forget Pat's and Gina's. Just come on over to Amy's and get a cheesesteak pizza. Who needs that greasy stuff on the roll? This looks so yummy, and I only wish you could smell it at home. The fresh onions. Okay, so the only other thing I want to do to this is give it a nice shot of fresh cracked pepper, a little bit of salt. I'm not going to use the sea salt like I did on the other one. And then we're going to put these ends on. These are really thick, kind of gnarly looking, but they're yummy. Break them up. I don't know why I did that, but you can even separate it into like what your slices are going to look like. That was a little thick. We'll put them in there. Now we don't want to cover the whole top of it because we do want to be able to taste some of the meat. This little thin one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the oven and pull the other one out. Grab something to get the other one out with. Lots of olive oil dripping back here. And we're going to put this one in on the same temperature as we put the other one in. Pop this one. Okay. So, now that we're done with that one, and I have this one set aside, and the reason why I wanted to set this one aside is because I wanted it to cool down a little bit. I wanted the cheese to melt, but I wanted it to cool down before I put the fruit on it because I didn't want the fruit to wilt. If you put the cool fruit on top of a hot shell, it's going to wilt down, and I don't want it to do that. So my next pizza, I'm going to make some veggie pizza. And this is going to be a little bit different. We have a baguette. I'm going to cut the baguette, I think, in 3. Let's try to measure and make it somewhat similar. That's somewhat. Grab a nice baking dish. Just a mess back here. Switch these out a little bit. Wipe this knife down. No, you know what? I don't want to use that one. We're going to slice these in half. There are so many different ways you can make pizza. If you go in, not that I've traveled the world, but in looking up pizza for today's show, if you look at what other countries call pizza, it's nothing like what we eat at home. And pizza actually dates back, like back into the Mayan times, they made some sort of a baked bread with toppings on it. So it really goes back a long ways. Okay. Now also, my baguette is day-old baguette because you don't want it real fresh because then it won't crisp up too much unless you bake it. So this is already a little dried out. And this is probably the only one we're going to put any sauce on. Yeah, I'm right. And I have tons of it. Okay, so here we have a basic pizza sauce. You can buy it in the jar, buy it in the can, or you can make your own, whatever your desire is. I like easy. Sometimes I, get fancy and want to be difficult and make my own. We're just going to spoon some sauce on each one. I like to do a little, and then I'm going to let it soak in, and then I'm going to come back. Whenever I order a pizza out, I always ask for extra sauce. When you bite into a piece of pizza and there's nothing but cheese and fillings, it makes me crazy. I want to taste the sauce. All right, spread it out a bit. You also can do this particular, well, you can do any of these any way you want. But you know the little biscuits that come in the tube? I shudder to even think I would ever use a biscuit that came in a tube. But if you take them out and roll them out a little bit, you can do all this right on them and bake them as what the package says. And you can make little personal pizzas. Okay, so we have well, you know what, this one looks a little skimpy. And then that would be the one I would get, and then I would be mad because I didn't put enough sauce on it for me. Okay, so we're going to grab all of our little fixins over here. I have a red onion, which is less pungent than a white onion, so we don't need to cook these ahead of time. I'll just pile some of this. They say it's red, but it's actually purple. Pile some of this on, and this is our vegetarian pizza. And I'm going to leave one blank because I have my little Kaya out in the audience, and I don't think she's going to want to eat onion, so I'm not going to put any onion on this one. But I'm going to put lots on this one because that's got to be mine. So now I have some roasted pepper, roasted red pepper, yummy. And when I say vegetarian pizza, you can put any vegetable on here. Your leftover broccoli from the night before, your asparagus, anything you want to put on it, you can put on it. These just happen to be my favorite things, and that's why they're going on, because it's stuff I like. Let's pile that on nice. And pile your pizza up. Make it, you know, nice and full. Make it so you can taste each individual thing. I don't know if Kai likes peppers, but a couple's going on there. Then we're going to take some fresh cherry tomatoes. Place a few on here. If you wanted to put some fresh garlic on here, that would be good too. Or like some of the garlic that we had earlier for the white pizza, that would be really good. Okay. Tomatoes over here. And I like to do my vegetables first and then my cheese. I know mostly when you go into a pizzeria, you get the cheese and then the toppings on top. And then your toppings fall off when you go to bite it. So if you put your toppings on your sauce and then your cheese over top, the cheese will melt and hold everything in. Okay. All right, now I have some black olives, one of my favorites. How many times do I say, one of my favorites? Everything's my favorite. That's why I'm so happy when I'm in the kitchen. I love food. Just pile this on. Let they fall on the tray. That's just extra for you to scoop up. And again, I'm going to leave this one blank because I don't think Kaya's going to like black olives. She just had a birthday. She just turned 9, so I know she's going to squeal if I tell her happy birthday. So happy birthday, Kaya. I hear her giggling. Okay, so now we have to go back to our mozzarella. Pile it up nice. And then when this melts all down, it's going to bind everything together. Okay, now this one's all done. I'm going to move my ingredients off to the side, and I'm going to pop this in the oven, and then we're going to come back and finish up our dessert pizza. Again, same temperature. I think we're going to go over to this oven. You know what? Chicken wing pizza looks done, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring that out. Got it cooled down. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Don't worry about me putting my hands in a hot oven. I know I've said it before. People call me asbestos hands. I've carried so much hot things. That is just beautiful. I'll move that over there. We're going to pop this one in there. Okay, and let's check on this one over here. That's our cheesesteak pizza. It looks good. I'm going to turn it down. I check this temp. Turn that down. Okay, so we're going to come over and finish our last pizza, which is our dessert pizza. This is a really fun pizza. And it's actually really not pizza at all. It just looks like pizza. We have all kind of fresh berries and fruits. So the first thing I'm going to do is some peaches. And these peaches are going to make, you know, when you have pizza and you have that little flap of dough around the edge that holds everything in. And that's what our peaches are going to do. Now, normally, well, I won't even say normally, but some of the recipes that I've seen for this, they don't use peaches, they use oranges. But I'm allergic to oranges, so y'all are getting peaches. But again, use whatever fruit you want. The only fruit I would not recommend using on this is bananas, because of course it'll turn a funny color. This looks so yummy. One more peach here. And we're going to go over here to some fresh kiwi. I'm just going to layer it around. Kiwi is such a pretty fruit and yummy on top of that. And the whole idea is to add things that look like things that would be on pizza. And I guess this would represent our peppers. Let's just put some in there. Make a nice cover. Okay, so next we're going to go to some strawberries. And these are sliced up like tomatoes. Kathy's cringing again. She's ruining that yummy pizza with strawberries. I think she's the only person I know in the world who doesn't eat strawberries. What can I say? I have weird friends. This looks really yummy. When I was slicing these strawberries, that doesn't look like enough. That doesn't look like enough. Now I have tons of them, so somebody will have to eat all the leftovers. Probably gay. Okay, that looks like tomatoes on there. And lastly, I have some blackberries. And I guess this would represent your meat, your sausage. And look how pretty that looks. I cut some of them up a little bit because they're really huge. Just break them a little bit. That does kind of look like sausage on there. Or meatballs. If you eat meatball pizza, it kind of looks like meatballs. Okay, so that's our dessert pizza. I think we'll take a little break. We'll come back and we'll slice up all of our pizzas and get them served up for everybody. And I'll see you back here in a couple minutes.
My name is Dexter Brink, and you're watching CTF TV Live.
Okay, and we're back. Right here, we're getting ready to slice up our chicken wing pizza. As you can see, that blue cheese melted in there really nicely. And then this is our white pizza. So I'm just going to head and give it a little snap here. when I was a kid, who buys a pizza cutter? Pizza comes cut already. I didn't know you make pizza at home. Okay, so get that nice and cut. And I don't want to mix flavors, so let me take this one down. This is my white pizza. Nice snap going through. This one is, there's not going to be any of this one left. I know it. Okay. Start with our white pizza and plate this one up. How beautiful is that? All those colors, that yummy fresh pesto. Make sure you cut all the way through that crust. If you could only smell this hot wing pizza, this smells so good. If you like anything, if you don't like your things hot, this is not the pizza for you. And how beautiful is that? Our other pizza needs just another minute, so I'm going to go ahead and do our dessert pizza. Now, with this dessert pizza, I have some shredded coconut here, and I'm just going to do it on half, and that's going to be our cheese. You could also do shredded chocolate on this, but then that would kind of defeat the purpose of it being a little healthier. Of course, I don't know how healthy cream cheese is. And that nice crack, if you could hear that. This is so yummy. Some of the people in the audience were asking where I got the blackberries. Acme has all this fruit right now. Not that I've given Acme a commercial or anything, but that's where I bought all of my fruit. Just lay a couple slices of this out, and then we'll grab out, we'll do one with the faux cheese. And that just snapped right in the right spot. Cut just like a piece of pizza would. There's our fruit pizza. Had all our toppings. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of my way, move it up front for everybody to drool over, and I'm going to go grab out our other pizzas. Hands down. Yum, yum, yum. That's our Philly cheesesteak pizza. And our baguettes. Baguettes look very, very good. Veggie baguettes. You wipe this off a little bit. Don't want to mix flavors. Made up one of our veggie baguettes. And see what I mean about putting the cheese on last? It holds all them yummy vegetables in there, so we're not going to lose them. I'll set that right there for a second. Give this a quick little wipe. I need about 6 more pizza slicers. I thought 2 would do it. All right, where do we want to slice into this one? How about right here? And it is still sizzling. Now I would have some mayonnaise and ketchup on the side and just dunk this. There you go. Okay, so there's our pizzas for this week. We have our chicken wing, hot wing pizza, our white pizza with pesto and garlic, our vegetable baguette pizza, all veggies, and this is our Philly cheesesteak pizza. And this is our dessert pizza. I hope that you'll try our recipes. I hope you enjoyed the show. I will ask you please to always invite Jesus to be the head of your table. We have his place set at our table. Always set a place for Jesus. And don't forget to bless the food. And we will see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.